Hello, welcome to a special broadcast on DevTV. I have with me a technical director from an international INGO. He's going to talk to us about private sector engagement, his approach, lessons that he has learned, and guide us on how best for us to uh, do private sector engagement. Welcome, Sylvester Abara.
Thank you, Habib.
So now, my primary purpose, we're running a series on private sector engagement in international development. And what we thought we'll do is bring you in to really show us the practicalities of private sector engagement. So, what would you say private sector engagement is in international development?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, my name is Sylvester Abara. I work here in Moroto, northeast of Uganda. is a is a hard to reach area. Communities here are really trying to make their living while experiencing a lot of challenges, majorly from climate change, persistent conflict, and generally degraded ecosystem. But generally, I come with a lot of experience here from other countries. I've worked in northern Kenya, I've worked in northern Mozambique, southern Tanzania, northeast of Nigeria, and now I'm here to work with this community just to try to work with them and move them to resilient livelihoods. So all that said, so for us to be able to achieve that, we look at different approaches, how to engage with the communities directly. Some of the approaches are facilitative approaches, because we know that this is a community that has moved, majorly relied on humanitarian assistance. But then the question is, for how long are you going to provide humanitarian support? So the next step is to move them from humanitarian to long-term development. And that is where we see that for us to be able to build long-term development here, we need to come uh, with different partners. Majorly, private sector is one of the key partners, and public-private partnership approach. We are looking at that as more sustainable, because when we pull out of this community, we can be able to leave the community with a strong network, then they can be able to sustain their livelihood. So services will continue to come, uh, opportunities will continue to open up, because the potential of this community will have been realized by engaging the community themselves to identify their needs, working with them to plan on how to address their challenges, and looking at who else can you bring, connect to the community so that services can be able to be availed even without donor support. So majorly that's what we do, and we try to raise community capacities to cope with the shocks and stresses, build their resilience to be able to adapt to the changes, but then for them to be able to acquire these services.
So you said something that's interesting.
Yeah,
You spoke about the community itself.
yeah,
So when you do private sector engagement, it's not just companies that are already established that are coming into the region. It's actually the people themselves becoming a bit more commercial. Am I right in saying that?
exactly. So when you look at the private sector engagement, we are looking at the mainstream private actors. But then, how do we build capacity of the community themselves to be able to deliver some of those services? So by linking them with the well-established private companies, building their capacities and strengthening that network, they can actually supply services to the fellow communities. So what the big companies come to do is to improve on quality, but then these community private service provider remain to give that service. We are doing that because some of these big companies, they, they fear working in this community. So we need to assure them that they're actually existing local service providers that they can rely on as their institutional capacity for them to come and tap in. So they supply, this one deliver to the community, and that create a network of
Fantastic.
interdependence.
So
Until
essentially,
yeah,
you reduce the market entry cost for the large companies,
exactly.
and
So
create opportunities for the local providers to earn more money.
exactly, and by doing so, they are also able to employ fellow local community in their
Fantastic.
local companies.
Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
what would you say has been the major challenge in getting these two sides to begin to work together? Is it the creation of the enterprises at a local level, or is it bringing in people from outside? Which would you say has been the major challenge?
There has been multiplicity of challenges. First of all, is building that capacity at the community level, and number two is to building trust from the bigger companies, wherever they are in Uganda, to come to this local community and be able to deliver their service. So once we have a local capacity where we have local service providers and assure them that the cost of them moving is a bit reduced, and assure them that we have people from the community who will be able to support them, that yields confidence. Because, Karamoja is heavily stereotyped to be highly insecure. Yes, we know that insecurity is there, but how it is reported outside there, is not the exact situation on the ground. So someone who has never been to Karamoja may think that the moment you land in Karamoja area, you're going to die, because the myth that people are getting outside there is that people are walking with guns.
Yes.
So I can assure you, when you walk around, the only person you will see with a gun is either a police officer or a military officer who are doing their regular work.
Right.
But it's not easy to see citizens with guns, because government over time has invested in stabilizing this region. Yes, there are criminal activities which are everywhere, even in Kampala and even in other big cities in Uganda. But then the situation of Karamoja has been put in a way that someone may think there is no possibility in Karamoja. The potential is high, the opportunity is quite immense, and people just don't want to explore. Yeah.
But now, most of these private companies or large companies outside of Karamoja are now beginning to come into Karamoja because of the work that you have done, showing them that the risk as they perceive it is not as high as it is. So, what would you say has been really the lesson that we as practitioners can take away from your experience in all of these countries that you've worked in, and especially those difficult areas that you've worked in? So, what would you say is the number one lesson that we as practitioners should learn and should do when we begin to do private sector engagement?
Well, it has not been easy to convince these large companies to come to Karamoja. So today we are seeing them come to invest and work with the local service providers, which we are saying we have really tried to achieve much. Um, what I've learned is that for us to be able to get there, we have to understand what is the interest of these large companies. We have to position the community, the population of Karamoja, as an opportunity for that company to find a market. And we have to assure that large company that yes, opportunity exists, they are only delaying to come and tap into it. But then working with the building capacity of the local service providers to demand that connection and ensuring that government is enabling the environment for them to come is also important. Government has to be part of the process. We have to organize some roadshows for these large companies to go and just do a transact work in Karamoja for them to understand. So what we've seen is that when you do that, they even regret why they didn't come earlier. They feel like it is too late. But then we are telling them it is not too late.
Yes. It's
It is
better
the right
late than
time.
never.
It is
Yes.
the right time.
Excellent.
And they are making the right decision. They need to move in and tap into the opportunity of Karamoja. And that will be able to transform the region and ensure that people are able to realize their full potential.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sylvester. It's been a really educational discussion with you. So
Sure.
now we're hopefully equipped with some knowledge of how to proceed in private sector engagement. First is the communication,
Yeah.
is to make sure that we speak the language of the private sector
Sure.
and build the capacity of the local service providers. Thank you very much, Sylvester, and
Thank
we,
you.
we hope that you'll come back and speak to us soon.
I mean, tell them to come. Go and talk to them. Ask
Excellent.
them, Karamoja is the place.
Excellent.
Sure.
Thank you.